Hi guys, welcome back to WDSportz. It's Ahmed again, your host for the interviews, and today we've got a very special guest. JD, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, how you doing, guys? It's Jaydee Dyer, sports presenter and broadcaster. I would say probably around the world now, as they say. So yeah.
Yeah, we should have really brought the Sky Sports music with us because obviously this man is all about your TV. He covers every sport, I think. What we want to ask first though is, what was your first sporting memory you can remember that thought, yeah, I want to work in the profession, or yeah, I want to cover a certain sport? What was it that made you think this is what I want to do as a career?
Um, I think mine probably starts a lot younger than everybody else's. I used to play football. I used to be all right. So I used to play. Um, I had a couple of trials at like Reading and Crystal Palace, and I was around the Northampton Academy set up as well. So I've always as most boys that grew up in London, I wanted to play football. But for one reason or another, I kind of just fell out of love with the game. And what I realised was that I was enjoying sort of the post-match and pre-match sort of aspects of it way more than I actually was enjoying the actual 90 minutes as an actual sort of the competitive spirit. I mean, the competitive spirit has always been with me, but I was enjoying kind of talking to my teammates beforehand, or the post-match, and like kind of doing interviews in the
Yeah.
change rooms with them. And I played against some very good players, played with and played against some players that's playing in the Premier League and whatever else now. So I kind of just utilised the skills that I had, or really the love that I had for the broadcasting side of it, combined it with the connections that I've kind of built through playing the sport myself and understanding of it, and um, put it all together. So I said to myself, I kind of did a bit of research into myself as to how I would kind of navigate my own career. And I started realising that when I was writing down all of my icons and the people that I look up to, it was less and less footballers that were being on it, and it was more and more entertainers and broadcasters. So I realised quite quickly after that this is kind of the direction that I wanted to go in.
Was it from a very young age, like when you were in high school or before that, where you were like, yes, this is what I want to do as a career? Or did you have other pursuits and then you had to realize probably after A levels or whatever you did respectively at that age to realize what you wanted to do as a career? Or did you know from a very early on that you wanted to do that?
I would say that I knew, my family and my friends would say that I knew from about 14, 15. I don't think I really knew until I was about 19. I was in 18, 19. But
Mm,
my family, I listen to the way my mum says now, when she says that, obviously I've looked at your career and this is something that I'd known you wanted to do for almost 15 years.
mm,
I said 15 years. Like I thought I wanted to be a footballer at first, and then I wanted to be a
mm.
DJ. I wanted to be a firefighter. What else did I want to be? I wanted to be loads of things, man. But I think broadcasting was always at the back of my mind, and then I entered this competition, which I was the youngest competitor for, called Breaking Into News, which is held by ITV and Media Trust. So I was the youngest competitor in the first year. I think I'm still probably the youngest finalist they've ever had, I was 18 at the time. And I put together this news package, and I was up against people that were at the end of their uni degrees, or some were doing their postgraduate, because it was a competition from 18 to 25. And I think I kind of, when I realised on a national sort of scale, on a big scale like ITV, to be considered as one of the finalists in that competition, I think I came third. It kind of said to me, I mean, maybe this is the profession for me. Do you know what I mean? This is maybe something that I definitely want to dive into, not just now, but for the longevity of it.
Yeah.
And I've always loved sports. So why not combine something that you're good at, something that's going to take a little bit of work to kind of develop and manifesto, and then combine it with something that you love. And I don't wake up any day and ever regret the decision of kind of doing the uni route, moving away, and then coming back, getting my master's, and then coming back and now working around the world for different companies. Yeah.
I mean, it's an amazing story you have. But what I think is funny growing up now, when I turn on Sky, when I turn on BT, or sometimes I watch a match of the day, sometimes you sometimes see these people in positions and you think, oh, how did they get there? What did they
Mm.
do? And of course, now with social media, I feel like it's painted that, oh, they just got it. But that's not really the case, is it? It's not done overnight in your case.
No, no, mate, I've been through an absolute whirlwind. I almost gave up maybe twice, three times. I've been fired. I've been let go by companies. I was told by people in the industry that you would never be on screen. No one's going to put you on screen with, obviously we're in quarantine now, but like a beard and long hair.
Mm.
I moved at 21. I moved halfway across the world to America. I moved to Arizona just so I can get an opportunity on screen.
Mm.
And it was all because I had the bigger goal. Like, I've always
Mm.
been the type of person, if you turn around and tell me that I can't do something, I'm going to
Mm. Motivate
prove you
yourself.
twice as much that I can. Do you know what I mean? The only thing that I would say, gave up on was football. And that was because I kind of fell out of love with football. It wasn't
Mm.
the other way around. So
Mm.
I feel like I utilised from A levels when I didn't really complete. I didn't get the grade I needed to go to my first A levels in terms of I'd go to university at 18. So I resat at the first opportunity, and then had a period of time between 18 and 19, maybe about 6 months, where I kind of thought about what I wanted to do. And I
Mm.
think about it now. I entered that competition during that time. I did a lot of traveling. I said to you, I still wanted to be a DJ at that
Yeah.
point, I think. But I trust in God's plan. And I think God definitely had something bigger for me, because every single time I come to a sort of a point where I'm trying to work out what my next steps are, trying to work out what I wanted to do next, He gave me a very clear and concise plan. And it always does revert back to some of the stuff that I wrote down to myself at 14, 15. So moving to the States at 21, just for an opportunity at a local television station where I didn't know anybody, I didn't know any of the area. I researched the area on the 13-hour flight on the way there. So it was a lot. I took a lot of risks coming back, and then, but they're not risks. They were just part of what was supposed to be my journey.
That's amazing. And when you talk about this journey you've been on, you're still on. I could be wrong here. It feels to me you're still on this almost process journey. You're still trying to build up your career. But what is your support line? Do you think you've had good family and friends over the years supporting you, or do you think that it's just sometimes yourself just telling yourself to get up and go and do something to achieve your dream?
I think there's a combination of both. My mum's always said to me that nothing is unobtainable. My dad also instilled to me that that word impossible. So if someone has to do it, do you know what I mean? Because I used to point maybe at the TV when I was younger and be like, I could do that. Do you know what I mean? And he turned around and said, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of dedication. But yeah, I'm not going to turn around and tell you can't do it. But don't just wake up and say, I can do it. Do you know what I mean? It does require a lot of dedication to the cause. So for me, I think I understood very early on that hard work was the basis of everything. And I always wanted that to be kind of my foundation for everything that I kind of achieved. I wanted to make sure that if I was going to achieve anything, it was going to be because of hard work and dedication to something. It wasn't going to be because I got lucky, or I went on a television show, or, do you know what I mean, or someone wanted to invest in me for 2 minutes. It was genuinely because I worked harder than everybody else to get into this sort of position. So, keeping those sort of foundations and those sort of principles, combining it with a clear vision for what I wanted, I feel like it's kind of led me into this position now, but I still have so many more things that I want to achieve.
And for me, from everyone here, I hope you smash them and achieve them. But as well, I want to just talk about your current work you do. First of all, I want to ask about how is it, sitting in the Sky Sports studio? Is it almost surreal when you first go there? Or he's like, oh, I can't believe I'm sitting here. I can't believe I'm talking on Transfer Talk. Or is it more like, right, I've got a job to do. Let me smash it out. Or is it a mixture of both?
I'd say probably a mixture of both. Like anything, like I wrote down when I was 14 that I was going to be a presenter or a reporter on Sky Sports, and I think even at that point I probably didn't even really understand what I was writing down. But I took a real deep breath when I first signed my first contract and said to myself, like, this is a massive moment in my career. Do you know what I mean? This is an opportunity that not many people ever get, and most people will die for in our field. So I never ever go to work feeling. I never ever go to work kind of feeling like this is not an incredible day or what an incredible opportunity I have. But at the same time, I realize how much work goes into it, because people don't see the hours and hours of research and dedication that it takes to every single time you go on screen. People don't see the countless amounts of mistakes that you make during rehearsals, not rehearsals on set when you get to Sky Sports, because most of those are only one take. I'm talking about rehearsals in my mirror, or
Yeah.
rehearsals when I'm sitting at home by myself. So I think we've got to an age in social media where a lot of people feel like they can talk about sports, or feel
Yeah,
like
of
they
course.
can have a voice in sports, and they can. Like, everyone's entitled to that. But I just think we need to understand that there's a massive difference between being like a professional broadcaster and then just turn around and saying, like, I woke up, turned my camera on and spoke about a whole bunch of things because they're my feelings.
Yeah.
Like, there's a level of etiquette that goes into every single delivery that I have, because a lot of these people that I'm talking about are genuine people that I could cross paths with. I'm not going to sit there and, for example, throw shade on Tyson Fury, because I probably will bump into Tyson Fury. So every single word that I turn around and broadcast, I have to live by. So if I do turn around and criticize or promote or praise or critique anybody, there has to be, number one, facts. There has to be a valued opinion behind it, and also an understanding and respect for the platform and reputation that I've built for myself. Because every single interview or foundation or anything that I've done in terms of broadcasts has all been based off respect. Some people I have upset, but there's been a valid reason as to why I've upset them, and they understand that and they respect that. So for me, I just keep those principles every single time I kind of step myself into the studio, which is that integrity, honesty, and also to do everything with an element, not an element, with wholehearted respect. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's brilliant. And when you talk about social media, it feels like, I feel like listeners and viewers and even myself can relate to it, because football Twitter now is just a common thing. You know, you tweet out something and your mates will slate you, anyone will slate you, Big Phil from around the corner will slate you. How do you deal with it in a professional environment where you might tweet something and, you know, you get a comment back or you get another negative comment and it almost builds? How do you almost shut it out? Do you respond, or do you just leave your phone and say, let them argue?
Well, how can I? My nan used to say to me all the time, "Why do you respond to people that are aspiring to try and do what you do?" Because the problem is, I remember I responded to one comment one time, and the person actually DM'd me afterwards and was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you responded to me. Thank you so much." And then I realized the actual space and the weight that you hold. So, I mean, listen to me. I get, in terms of comments on social media, I probably get, if I get 100 comments, I'd say 95 were positive. You might get 5 that's negative. I take neither the positive nor the negative with any sort of amount of weight. I have the people around me, and they've been around me my whole life. So my friends, I've been my friends for 20 odd years, and I grew up with my boys. So it's, for me, I don't take either with like a huge amount of weight. I don't take the criticism of a huge amount of weight, and I don't take the praise of a huge amount of weight. I really do value people that respect what I do. And I will always give you positive energy back. But in terms of the negativity, I can't see you from this side of the TV, so it doesn't really matter anyway.
Absolutely true. You talk about, you know, getting involved with people, fans and stuff like that, and, you know, making sure you have positive energy. We're talking to a lot of people at the moment of this different life of, you know, your professional life and your family life. Your job, I could be wrong here, it doesn't strike me as a 9 to 5 type of job. It strikes me as a
No.
job where you're always active, you're always looking for new stories, new articles, new interviews. How do you balance, and how do you almost shut off, you know, and just relax and, you know, spend time with your family or friends?
Understanding girlfriend, number one. She'll pay me to come and say that. So understanding girlfriend. I think a great foundation and friends around me, because the people around me really do care about my goals and my aspirations and who I am as a person. They know how much this means to me in my career. And also, I believe in very early kind of putting things into the atmosphere. So anybody that's sitting there, that's coming into my life or is in my life, will know what I want to achieve. And so they'll know that I've been proclaiming it and putting it into the atmosphere for the best part of a decade. So they're not shocked as to, for example, I can't come to a birthday party because I missed one of my good friends' weddings, like, and when I was covering the NBA finals, and I didn't obviously know I was covering the finals until maybe a month or so beforehand. So I'd already got the suit. I'd already got everything. Do you know what I mean? Because this is one of my close friends. I'd grown up with him for the best part of 10, 15 years. So it was that. So those sort of moments do irk me because I can't get him back. I never get him back. I saw his wedding through a phone. But I mean, I'm actually, well, I was going to miss one of my friend's stag do's this year for going for the finals. Obviously, the coronavirus has kind of changed everyone's kind of schedule. But there are sacrifices that come with this. But you watch anybody that's great, Will Smith, Barack Obama, Reggie Yates, they'll tell you there's no greatness without sacrifice. Do you know what I mean? So it did hurt me, but I think I was used to it from living abroad. So that whole sort of year and a half where I was abroad, I was away from it. I missed everyone's birthday. Do you know what I mean? I missed everyone's events that happened that year. I missed all christenings. I missed everything. So there are ways that you can still show love and appreciation and show respect for those sort of venues. Doesn't mean I didn't call in and have my phone, someone put their phone there so I could watch most of the ceremony and stuff. So of course, it's not like being there in person, but I've set these goals and I have these sort of standards of what I want to achieve for myself. So tunnel vision is important.
That's brilliant to hear. And you talk about the NBA finals now. So for someone who follows American sport, granted, I follow basketball a little, but I'm more into my American football or hand egg, whatever you want to call it. But how is covering an American global event like that? Because when you watch the difference in American media compared to British media in terms of sport, it's very much, forgive me if I'm being a bit obnoxious, it's a lot more commercialized. It's a lot more, in your face type of sporting with stats and stuff like that. What is the main differences you think from a British point of view when you cover an American event, and how do you kind of translate it in a way that will build interest for audiences?
I think I have a very American sort of style for broadcasting. Because my first sort of role in the media worldwide was in the States, I feel like a lot of the foundations that I built were American based. So I feel like I have a transferable sort of style, if they say, to the American audiences or to American journalists. Was I concerned when I first came back here in terms of how that would translate? Yes, I was. But at the same time, ask any journalist, especially the ones at the top of the field, they'll turn around and say, what separates everybody in terms of at the top of the field? Everyone has their sort of own unique sort of style. And I've owned and understood what my style was and who I am as a broadcaster. So I very much, and the thing is, no one can be better at you than you. So I just be myself. So was I concerned about the actual covering of it? No. I was more concerned about whether or not they would respect me in terms of American journalists. And I met Stephen A. I met Max Kellerman. I met Rachel Nichols. Mark Spears is now my mentor. So to answer your question, no. I mean, I think I earned their respect over that short period of time that we was over there. Do you know what I mean? We were able to have dinners, have conversations, and they were able to see that regardless of my accent, where I'm from, this is somebody that respects and understands the sport inside out. So I continue to just kind of build a foundation. Trey Kirby from the Starters and the No Dunks podcast is now one of my good friends. So you build relationships and people respect crafts and respects times put in regardless of your accent or where you're from or wherever you start. It's all about kind of proving to everybody that, you know what I mean, you have as much right to be here as anybody else. And I feel like I did that over the time. Covering from a personal perspective, covering the NBA finals for me is a dream. It's still now, I still can't quite fathom, especially being the first UK broadcaster for like Sky Sports and the NBA to do it. There'll never be another. Right now, it's up there with top 5 best things that's ever happened in my life. And like I say, it was all part of God's plan, because if you actually watch the broadcast from that season, I didn't start off as the main presenter. I was just a reporter that was just doing a lot of work. I auditioned like everybody else for the main presenter role, didn't get it, got given the second position and didn't take it as a slap in the face, took it as a great opportunity to still showcase, still provide something to the show. And what started off as 1 minute segments, 1.5 minute segments, 3 minute segments, ended up then becoming the main presenter. So for me, I'm just living proof of hard work more than anything else. You know what I mean? Opportunities do eventually come and you don't have to be spiteful or stab someone in the back or anything like that. Whatever's meant to be for you will be for you. And I will never, ever, there's not enough thank yous in the world to send to the Sky team, the NBA family that I have now as well, for trusting me with that opportunity. And I also thank God as well for allowing me to deliver, you know what I mean, and experience that with my own eyes, sitting in the Oracle, flying first class to Toronto. Like, they're not things that average people from where I come from experience. So I'm forever grateful, but it's made me hungry to want to do more.
Yeah, and that's a brilliant. You talk about this hunger as well, and it's brilliant to see. But as well, how do you deal when you're there and you go and interview someone? Do you ever? It comes back to a point I made before. Do you ever feel like you get starstruck, or do you feel like you're like, right, job to do, let's interview them? And how do you deal when you've got something like someone of such high caliber? Because you've interviewed a lot of people who are famous, and how do you deal with that? Do you just treat them as a friend, or do you treat them as almost like someone you just got to work with?
I think it's just an element of respect, because the more and more I do these now, is the more and more I'm realizing they're just human beings. Like, they genuinely are. And the more you treat them as such, is the higher their respect will be for you. They respect what I do, and I respect what they have done or do currently. So I think I don't really get so-called starstruck. I've been starstruck once, I'm not gonna lie. But that was because I was interviewing one of my childhood heroes. So for me, it was bigger than just a moment. But I'll never ever I think in that moment, I also realized I'd never be starstruck again, because it was the respect that he had shown to me to be like, oh, I watch your show. I watch the NBA show every week. And he called me by my name. He knew everything about me. He knew I was a massive Orlando Magic fan. He said to me, really like your style. Is there anything that you can turn around? And he gave me his number. Do you know what I mean? So, like, for me, I realized then that you hold weight too. Do you know what I mean? You're sitting here and you got clammy hands because you're sitting there about to shake the hands of one of your heroes. I used to do his goal celebrations in my front room. But at the same time, he holds a lot of respect for what you do. And for me, whether it's Thierry Henry in that case, Kevin Hart, Dave Bautista, Michael B. Jordan, like, that's just the ones, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, whoever it is, it doesn't really matter to me, because I'm just going to go into it with the same principles of, I just want to get to know who you are as a person. Everyone sees through everyone thinks they see who that person is through social media or by tracking their whole lives. There's always a deeper layer into every single person you've met. There's always a story into every single person you've met. And the foundation of who I am as a person is, I just enjoy finding out people's stories.
I mean, that, in essence, that's what makes a good journalist, or a good presenter in general, because, watching your stuff, you can see it through, and it's really good to see. As well, back to, your first start of career, if someone's watching this, or someone's asking you questions like me, what is your advice to them who want to be on your level or do the same career aspects of you? Is there anything really hidden, or is it just, like you said, hard work and, preparation in yourself, or is there something you did which you think is a little bit different from everyone else?
Well, everyone's journey is going to be unique. Like, I'm not asking every single person here at 21 to turn around and say, like, oh, fly halfway across the world and take a gamble on a small town in Arizona and see what happens. No, listen to me. I've almost been broke twice. I remember having, £14.56, never forget the number, in my account, sitting there praying, refreshing my app, waiting for the money to drop, because I've been in 4 places I've worked, and there's times where you're tested. There's times where you ask yourself, am I really going to need it? But is this really what I want to do? It's going to be times where you doubt yourself. But more than anything else, if you genuinely believe this is your calling, your message from God, this is your gift, this is what you're supposed to put on the earth to do, then there's no words that anyone can say to you. No school teacher, no university lecturer, no person that's in one job. They're all just one opinion. If I took one opinion, the whole common theme that you're taking from this is, if I just took in everybody's single opinion, well, then I wouldn't be able to build the strength or the belief that I have within myself. Do you know what I mean? So my advice would be, just stick to your guns, trust yourself, because no one can tell you about you more than yourself. Do you know what I mean? So trust yourself and work hard. Like, people really do downplay the element of hard work. I work harder now than I did before, and I was working hard then. So there isn't days or hours or minutes that I don't think about the importance of the role that I'm in, and also where I want to go to. So for me, you have to work hard. You want to be in my position, you have to work harder than me. You want to be in Dave Jones's position, you have to work harder than him. And I'm not talking about, oh, I get up and I know every single fact. I'm talking about you to understand what it takes to be in that position and be putting in more minutes in the day than everybody. And like I said, I just gave you the monetary reasons. There were times where I had rice and corned beef for Monday to Friday. So I dedicated myself to what I could do. So it's up to you how much you want it. And not everyone's going to want it the same, so it's up to you.
As well, I have to ask this because the reason why we do these interviews is sometimes just to ask from a perspective of a different interest. How do you think the world, in terms of sport, is reacting to this epidemic? Do you think it's in a good way, or do you think it's an event that no one saw coming? And you talk about the NBA and the football leagues in this country. Do you think they've reacted in the right way? And do you think there's any way to actually play any sport this year, or do you think we should just scrap it and wait till next year?
Okay, so from a selfish perspective, I do want to play sports this year. I do want to conclude. I think the season should conclude. I've got so many things that are still in my head for 2020. I'm not finished. NBA Finals, the Premier League season, certain boxing events that are all scheduled in my head that we're supposed to be covering. So, but from an actual world perspective and just thinking about the actual human society, I think they made the right decision. Nothing is more important than health. Nothing is more important than kind of combating this virus as a collective at this moment in time. Do you know what I mean? So whether it means that we scrap this season to save a whole bunch of lives, then let's do it. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not, nothing is more important than trying to save each individual life as best as we can. I mean, I've lost people during this virus. I can imagine there's probably loads of people that's lost people during this virus. So this is a genuine pandemic, and I think the NBA reacted very, very quickly, especially after Rudy Gobert got announced positive for COVID-19. I think they've minimised the damage that could have been very, very effective because of the sort of ferocity in terms of these teams and how often they play each other. I think every team had played each other and been in contact with the Utah Jazz one way or another in terms of how they could spread the coronavirus during the sort of period of time that they anticipated that he had it. So that shows you how quickly this could have spread. And then if you compare it to the actual results in terms of the actual amount of people, obviously there's some names that I'm not allowed to say that I know have had it. But I think they've done very well to keep it down to the numbers that they have. I think that's just one example of a sport. I think football's done brilliant. I think the PFA and the Premier League to shut down and suspend the season until they get further instruction from sort of the government and whatever else. I know there is an urge to really, really want to conclude this season. I know because everyone's stuck inside. There's only so much reruns we can watch and so many things. But I understand we're doing it for a bigger cause so that we can kind of save lives. And when you kind of put it into perspective, sports, lives, as much as I love sports, nothing's more important than health, man.
Yeah. And finally, I want to end on a bit of a happier note. Say, for example, in theory, hopefully, touch wood, in 10 years' time, we do this interview again. What would you like to be? Where would you want to be in your career? Or are there any things you would love to cover in terms of sport by that time?
Mate, if you got all day, there's loads of things I want to cover. There's loads of things I will cover. I give you a couple so that you can hold it to me. I want to cover at least one major fight in Vegas, so you can track on whether or not that's happened. I want to do at least cover one Super Bowl. But the thing is, I don't just limit myself to like a sports broadcaster. Now I've kind of realised, because there's a lot of things in sports that I've done. I've done World Cups. I've done I've done NBA finals. I've done Premier League games live. So, like, for me, I kind of tick them off one at a time. Do you know what I mean? And all the things that I kind of watched when I was younger. So, but I don't want to just limit myself to sports. So I want to host the BET Awards. I do want to host. I want to do a red carpet at the Grammys. I want to. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it's just kind of a experience in life in its totality. I even want to do GRM daily. Like, why not? Do you know what I mean? It's for culture for us, yeah. Or even I grew up watching the Mobos every year. So Kanye King has done fantastic with that whole sort of organisation. So for me, I just I put things out there, and I'm glad that it's out there because it doesn't. There's not a doubt in my mind that I'll do it. Does that make any sense? A lot of people don't put things out there because they're scared. Like, there's not a doubt in my mind. I trust in who I am. I trust in what I do. I know I'm able to produce it because I've got the skill set. So for me, it comes down to the very simple question as to whether or not someone turns around and thinks that they want you to do that. And like I said, whatever's best destined for me will be destined for me by God, man. So yeah, those are some of the things that you can hold me accountable in 10 years, man.
Yeah, I should bet a tenner for that, really. But, thank you so much for doing this interview, JD. From myself and from everyone from WDSportz, we wish you the best. And yeah, we really appreciate your time you've taken for us today. Thank you so much.
No worries, bro. Look after yourself.